It's day 2 of 10 Days with Katherine Parr, and today we're thinking about Catherine's early life. So Katherine Parr was born in 1512, probably in the August. She was the second child, but the first child, as I said yesterday, didn't live to adulthood. So she's kind of, when they are grown up, she's the eldest child, eldest daughter, eldest child. She was most likely either born at Great Kimble in Buckinghamshire or in Blackfriars, London. And given that her mother was a big Catherine of Aragon fan, she was a lady in waiting to her, and it seems that Catherine of Aragon was probably Katherine Parr's godmother. It seems very likely that Katherine was named after Katherine Parr. It's all a bit bizarre, isn't it, when you think about it in that kind of weird full circleness. While they were growing up, the Parr children kind of moved a bit all over the place. They had different houses. They had a house in London to be close to court at Blackfriars, but they also moved between Aylesbury and Hertfordshire. If you're not from the UK, I'm trying to think, maybe that's like an hour's drive today from London. It's not too far, but you know, it's out in the country. And then you've got Northamptonshire. I'm not going to guess how far that is. A few hours from London. So they moved about a little bit. But after their father died in 1516, they stuck a bit more in Rye House. They stuck a little bit closer to court. And because as a lady in waiting, Maud, her mother, kind of worked on a rota, that gave her the ability to spend kind of part of her time at home with the children and part of her time at court. So she could kind of have this dual identity, I suppose, in a way, the original working mother. So while mum was away, the children were cared for by servants. Now, the court really wasn't a place for children, so Katherine won't have experienced it in those early years, but she would have got a flavour for court sort of through the eyes of her mother and whatever her mother will have told her about it. So she was right in the thick of it, you know. She knew all the ins and outs. So, as I said yesterday, Maud decided not to remarry, but she still wanted the children to have a male influence that could, you know, be protective and, you know, provide a different side to things, I suppose. So she relied greatly on two particular people, one being her late husband's brother. So that was Sir William Parr of Horston. Now, he had 4 daughters of his own. So Katherine grew up kind of with the cousins. It was more financially savvy for them to kind of all be educated together. You know, you've got less tutors to pay for and that sort of thing. So Katherine grew up with her cousins, and particularly the eldest of the 4 daughters of William, so her eldest kind of female cousin, who was called Maud, just to confuse us. They became very close. She became her confidant. So they're all educated together. So that's one sort of man in their life, their Uncle William. Uncle Will. And then there's also a chap called Cuthbert Tunstall. Now, he was a distant kinsman. He was a prominent churchman and diplomat, and he was really well in with the humanists of the time. So people like Thomas More, kind of the great thinkers. He was very well in with them. So you've got an educational influence that way. He wasn't a tutor to them or anything like that particularly, but you can sort of see the influence. And later on, Catherine's younger sister Anne would go on to say that their education was based on what Thomas More had been doing for his own children, his own daughters. So kind of real sort of humanist influence coming in there. In 1525, Catherine's brother William, he goes off to join the household of Henry VIII's illegitimate son, Henry Fitzroy. So around this time, Henry Fitzroy is given his own household. Mary I being given hers, and Henry Fitzroy gets his. And William's gone along to be part of that. But you've got quite a conflict here, because while they hope that'll be a real kind of great opportunity for them, maybe financially, maybe just socially, it doesn't actually turn out to be very useful, but that's what they hope. But at the same time, you know, Maud obviously has this loyalty to Katherine of Aragon, and her son's going off to help, you know, her husband's illegitimate son. So it's a little bit of a conflict of interest there, but off William goes in the hope that this will be beneficial to him and to the family. Know that she received an excellent education, not only because, we know that's what was being provided when she was a child, but also as an adult. She was fluent in French, Latin, and Italian, and then as an adult she went on to study Spanish. We know she corresponded with Prince Edward as in Latin. So we know that she was very well educated, and she was especially well educated for a non-royal woman. So that's her early life, and as any Tudor woman, childhood doesn't last that long. So tomorrow we're going to be thinking about her marriages. See you then.